Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. And of course, I am Precious Chukudi. Start off with the front pages of the papers, starting off with Vanguard. And the main story says a shift in GUBER State Assembly polls. APC, Labour Party, IPAC, others disagree. The writer says that INEC has eroded our confidence, rather, Labour Party saying that says this INEC can no longer be trusted. We respect INEC's decision. That's coming from APC. Excuses no longer acceptable. IPAC cautions INEC. Postponement inevitable. That's coming from Farumbi, ex-envoy. OT, Badebo, others speak. We can see a photo story showing for action against gender-based violence. And stories below, we have a poll. June 12, 1993, saga won't repeat itself. And that's coming from Presidency. On page 6, governor poll. Court orders INEC to allow use of temporary voters card. And on sports, we have a CAF Comfort Cup, Rivers United top group following Aqua's hat trick. And we have a quote from Owe Lakemfa says, I imbibed my pro women culture from my mother, Ebibo, who was an illiterate petty trader, ensured the education and well being of all her children. On page 9, plans afoot to cause chaos after GUBER polls. DSS warn Nigerians. Polls, IReV glitches didn't deter BVAS. INEC insists. GUBER polls, Kwara APC, PDP trade words over cash inducement of voters. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, cash crunch worsens as Nigerians wait on Buhari. All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with survivors recount moment train slammed into bus. The writer says 6 die, 29 critically injured, 50 suffer injuries. Buhari Tinubu sympathize. So Luvis is injured in hospital. Lagos accident distressing, says Buhari. And we can see stories below on page 5. We would chase away article, others rebuild PDP. INEC rejects the court ruling on temporary voters card use. APC uncovers plot by fake Nadeco chief to discredit polls. 25 killed in Badagry, Enugu, Ogbomoso road crashes. APC, LP, NNPP differs on shift of governorship polls. And let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with poll shift may cost Nigeria more than $2.23 billion suffered in 2019. Postponement compounds Naira, fuel scarcity woes, and that's come from SBM. Presidency, why Buhari is quiet over allegation of irregularities against INEC. March 18 polls, excuses no longer acceptable. IPAC cautions INEC. Abure, INEC has eroded our confidence. Protect integrity of data from BVAS, APC tells INEC. INEC kicks as court orders commission to allow two Nigerians vote without PVCs. Despite reported positive trend, palm oil industry still struggling. 1 week after Supreme Court ruling, CBN silence stokes confusion. And Black Thursday, 21 die in road crashes in Lagos, Enugu, and that happened yesterday. Our pilot training fee hits 20 million naira at NCAT. IAT increases tuition. Lastly, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, governorship election and lessons of the postponement. All right, so let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with Lagos train bus crash. NRC Lasema blames driver as federal government orders probe. The rider says bus driver reckless, ignored safety warning by railway staff. That's coming from officials. 6 killed. Family donates blood as 29 critically injured battle for survivor. Lagos suspends the political campaigns. Buhari Tinubu article orders mourn. On stories above, we see INEC affords a judgment permitting temporary voters cards for polls. NCAA probes Lufthansa over alleged passengers' maltreatment. Visa revocation, court bar CEO from running Seplar. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have a roadblock. Victims tackle lawless soldiers over extortion and harassment. And that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers this morning. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining, still today in the news on Vanguard Life, I am Precious Chukudi. Joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the papers this morning is Associate Professor, Department of Mass Communications, Dr. Tai Obateru. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you joining this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here again.
All right, coming from the presidential election now, and we were hoping that tomorrow we would move to the polls and vote for who our governor would be in various states in Nigeria. But of course, INEC shocked us with postponing the polls. Let's talk about the shift. Was it the right thing for INEC to do? And the reconfiguration of the BVAS, what do you think about it? And can Nigerians still trust INEC with all of these things that have just been going on?
Thank you very much. Well, I think I saw it coming because if they've been asked not to do anything to the BVAS machines, if the court gave an order that they should not do anything with the BVAS machines, and they're supposed to use them for another election, that means that the preparations they are going to make to use them for Saturday's election, that is if we were to hold the election tomorrow, there wouldn't have been sufficient time to do that. What some other people are raising is, why did INEC wait to the last minute? But INEC was supposed to have foreseen and known that the time it had, even if it got a positive response from the court, wouldn't have been sufficient to reconfigure or to work on the BVAS machine. So it should have announced the postponement before, without waiting for the court approval. But that is by the way. But for me, it is better for them to get their acts right, so that we will have limited problems with the BVAS machines in another election, than to rush it. We rush and then we begin to have problems again, and then we have issues. Because definitely with what we experienced during the presidential election, a lot of Nigerians are no longer ready to take excuses from INEC. So I would say that it's better for INEC to take its time to do what it needs to do, so that they get everything right for the governorship and state House of Assembly elections. But whether the timing of the announcement is right is another thing, because people are saying that they ought to have known that the holding the election on March 11 was no longer realistic, since the court asked them not to touch the BVAS machine.
All right, INEC is insisting that the IReV glitches didn't impact the functionality of the BVAS. What do you think about that?
Yes, if they are saying that, they need to prove to Nigerians that the allegation that the IReV was or the BVAS machines were deliberately tampered with, not to accept elections that were being transmitted, the images of the election results that were being transmitted. They need to answer to queries concerning what actually happened. Because as people claim that the results for the National Assembly elections were going, but that of the presidential for the presidency was not going. So they need to explain that. So if there are glitches, why must it affect just the presidential election results? So the issue is that there are question marks, and then maybe the courts are the best places to determine that. But if INEC wants to continue to enjoy the confidence of Nigerians, this must be done away with, and we must see more transparency. If during the election we had issues that affected all the results, then people may give INEC the benefit of the doubt. On the exhibition where a particular election result was the one that was not going, people ask a lot of questions. So if there are issues, I think INEC should try to rectify them. Even the glitches should not be allowed for the coming election, so that at least they can still salvage some of their good name.
All right. As of yesterday, the Nigerian Bar Association had asked INEC to ensure that it excludes their collation and returning officers who are who have proven cases of misconduct. Looking at how INEC has moved the governorship election, do you think that they can still pull out these collation officers and returning officers? Is it not too late, considering the time it took them to recruit some of these persons?
Yeah, I think if we just make examples of a few of the bad eggs, that would be sufficient because the process of training new people within the time that we have may not be that easy. So it is not just removing all of them. I think what needs to be done is to ensure maybe better monitoring and also making an example of a few so that that will still be fair of repercussions in those who are going to be doing the assignment. But above all, let us not also dismiss the influence of politicians, because a lot of the people that we are blaming were actually doing the bidding of politicians who mounted pressure on them, whether voluntarily or under duress. And so, where inducement did not work, they used some kind of intimidation, because we have seen people who collated results saying that they did it under duress and so on and so forth. So it is not just looking at one aspect of it. We need to also look at the aspect of the politicians who put a lot of pressure on people that are working and sometimes even intimidate them to do what they want.
Let's talk about, you mentioned about the intimidation of some of their ad hoc staff. How exactly should that be treated? Because I remembered how some of their ad hoc staff had come out to say that their life was being threatened, and it seems to be like something they've been saying since after the presidential election. How should INEC or handle this situation?
I think the electoral law is clear about that, but you also know that our politicians are very smart and they are very good at doing, because there were allegations that some thugs were sent to places where the politicians know that their opponents, some parties know that their opponents are strong, so as to allow the elections in those places to be cancelled. And when that happens, then it becomes a problem where the politicians or thugs can really go and cause problems in areas that their opponents are strong to engender the cancellation of results in that place. And unfortunately, we don't have enough security manpower to be able to man all those places. Otherwise, that would have been the best, having enough security to maintain peace and ensure that ad hoc staff and other officials of the election are well protected. So the people remain the hope, because people should also stand and protect their votes. So when they stand to protect their votes, maybe they'll be able to repair some of these miscreants who cause problems.
Also, still speaking about security, the DSS has said that there are plans to cause a total breakdown of law and order after the governorship and state assemblies election. What are your thoughts? How should this be handled?
Well, sometimes I don't understand the way our security apparatus works in Nigeria. DSS is supposed to be an undercover body. If they are aware of such, why won't they just make necessary moves to nip into the bud instead of announcing it to the public? And what do they expect us to do? They are the ones that have the manpower and all the other things that they require to nip it in the bud. If they got a win, if they have intelligence information about this, why won't you just make necessary move to arrest or those behind it, or and stop it instead of raising an alarm? I don't think that raising an alarm is a solution to the problem. If they will not make moves to just check, check the planned insurrection. So instead of announcing and raising an alarm, I think they should take action, because that is what their job entails.
All right. The president had initially, before the election started, promised Nigerians that he was going to give us a free, fair, and credible elections. But of course, each of us can see that the election was not free of some irregularities or whatnot. And but I would like to ask you, what were the major challenges that you think affected the elections, and what should we be looking forward to future elections?
Yes, many of us we were optimistic that the election was going to be credible, especially because of the BVAS. We knew that if they did what they were supposed to do, people vote and then you capture and transmit the results almost immediately. It would have been difficult for any form of manipulation to take place, or even if it would happen, it would have been very minimal. Well, we must give credit to INEC all the same, because whether we like it or not, the humongous voters population that we used to see didn't happen this time around because of the BVAS. So at least to a large extent, the BVAS forced all those printing that brings very, 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 very questionable results from places. A lot of the millions of votes that we see from places didn't come this time around. So to that extent, I think the BVAS checked some of these excesses. But INEC should ensure that it keeps to its promises. If it says that they're going to be transmission of results instantly, it should ensure that that is done, because that is the only way to guarantee the sanctity of the people's choice. Where manipulation is allowed, and where we have kind of alterations on sheets of results, as we saw, then it puts a lot of question mark. INEC needs to do a lot to gain the confidence of Nigerians, because right now the perception of INEC among Nigerians is very low, and they need to do something about that. So there were a lot of issues. Then, of course, I had mentioned before that our politicians also need to know that elections is not a matter of do or die. It should not be that I must win at all costs, that will warrant going to intimidate or influencing changing of results. If you are really willing to serve the people, why must you be desperate to win? It also kind of brings back the issue of making our public offices less lucrative, where people see getting into office as a means of launching themselves into affluence, or being able to influence power that will make them excessively rich. They will continue to do everything to get there. We must make our elective offices less attractive. Let people know that it is for service, and let them go there to go and render service, rather than seeing it as a platform for joining the wealthy and the affluent in the society.
Also, the president has ruled out annulment of the presidential election, saying that it won't allow June 12, 1993 to repeat itself. What do you think about this?
Well, we shouldn't expect that. The people that annulled the 1993 election were military people. There is no provision for that under a democracy. So it would be funny if anybody is even talking about annulment for election. It's only the courts that can annul election in the democracy. And so, well, maybe because of the speculation that are on, that's why the presidency is speaking about it. Otherwise, the presidency lacks the power to annul an election in a democracy. Because it is from the democracy that even the presidency derives its legitimacy. So that shouldn't even be an issue. The issues are before the courts. The court should be allowed to determine that. The one that happened in 1993 was because it was a military administration. And we do not have a military administration right now. So it should not even be contemplated at all. Can't even imagine it.
All right, let's take a look at Mr. and Mrs. Mrs. is speaking this morning. It says the man is a good tailor. Everybody likes him because of his craft. Ladies fall in love with his well-crafted designs. And Mr. replies and says, "You are saying the same thing. He's crafty."
Yes, he's crafty in both sewing and in attracting women.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Tayo Obatere, Associate Professor, Department of Mass Community, University of Jos. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Also, remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You want to find out up-to-date stories, you can go to our website, www.vanguardndl.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you for watching.